Welcome everybody to LisaBug Yoga, and we are today starting on our mat in a seated position, nice and comfortable. I'm up on a blanket. Sometimes that's nice if you have a little cushion to sit on, and just get nice and comfortable, and we'll begin to center and focus and breathe. So sit with a long spine and think about your spine as being a string of pearls. So each one of the pearls in a necklace has a little bit of string between each one, right? And that's what makes the necklace flexible. So if we had a string of pearls and all the pearls were jammed together, touching each other, it would be hard for that string of pearls to move around. So there's a little tiny space in our pearl necklace between each one of the pearls. And think about that in your spine. So we lengthen our pearls or our vertebrae and extend up, and we create space between each one. And that way we have room to flex and bend and twist and to move our spine. So sit tall, close your eyes, come inside, and just bring your awareness internally and just check in. How are you feeling today? We all come to our mats from a different place. We all come to our mats from a different place, both physically, emotionally, and mentally, with all of these stresses going on in our lives. And this is a safe place to let go of anxiety, to let go of stress. And we do that with the breath. So find the breath inhaling through the nose, fill the belly, exhaling either through the nose or the mouth, either one, and exhale the breath completely, emptying out the lungs. And 2 more breaths, a long inhalation. The belly expands. And a full exhalation, let the belly draw in. And 1 more calming breath. And hands are here on top of your knees. We'll start to circle the spine around in the pelvis. Checking in with the lower back. And already for me, I feel that tightness as I come around in the lower part of my spine. So if you're feeling that the same way too, just take your time to find the range of motion that feels good for you as you come around. And if we link the breath to the movement, we inhale as our body is upright and exhale as we're folding around. This is a wonderful warm-up for the spine, gentle and mindful. We'll come around 1 more circle this direction. Pausing at the center, take a nice big deep breath, lengthen the spine, and reverse, exhaling to fold forward. You might feel a little bit of a stretch through the hips. When we warm up in our yoga practice, it's all about checking in. It's a diagnostic tool just to see how we're feeling in our body today. If there's any areas that are tight or sore, or that we're protecting after an injury or a surgery, we're bringing our awareness to those areas. And 1 more circle this direction. And then we come back to neutral and lengthen the spine. Change the cross of your ankles if that feels comfortable for you. We are creatures of habit, so we usually always come to that same cross. So this might feel a little odd, but it's good to balance the body out. So on an inhale, reach the arms up, On an exhale, side stretch over to the right, and your fingertips are just lightly onto your mat. Roll this top shoulder back behind you and take your gaze up to the ceiling. And feel an openness through your rib cage, the lat muscle underneath your armpit. And then the left arm will reach to the diagonal. So start to rotate and reach your arm. Imagine someone was pulling your wrist and feel that twist, a little bit of rotation, and lengthen. Now as you come up, this left hand, place it across the right knee and rotate, look behind you. And again, we're thinking about the spine as being that nice long string of pearls, lifted, creating space from the tailbone through the crown of the head. And we'll come back to center, taking a nice full inhalation, reach. Exhale, side stretch over to the left side and pull your right shoulder back. So there's a little bit of rotation here. Lengthen, our gaze is up. And there's not a lot of weight into your left hand. You're using the muscles of your core to stay engaged and lifted. And then reach your right hand across to the diagonal so your body just rotated, your torso is facing that left thigh. And reach the arm out long. This is a dynamic, active stretch. And then come up, reaching that hand across the thigh. Left arm reaches behind you. Nice long spine. Rotate. Look over the left shoulder. Noticing how the mobility of your neck feels today. And we breathe in and out through the nose. And then coming back to center. Press the palms at the heart, and on an inhale, expand into cactus arms. Pull your shoulder blades back. Maybe the heart lifts up to the sky and the throat opens. And then as you exhale, fold the hands back together and curve your back, dropping your chin to your chest like a cat stretch. And we'll take this into seated cow and cat. With the breath, inhale to open and to pull the shoulder blades back, create space in the heart. Exhale to draw inward and round the spine. 2 more breaths. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Last one. And then just lift your head back to neutral alignment. We'll come to our hands and knees. If you need a little padding under your knees, a couple things you can do. I have a blanket with me, or you can take your mat and give it a little fold just like that, so you can set your knees right on that extra padding. And coming to hands and knees, we'll again move into cow and cat by dropping the belly down, letting the tailbone lift to the sky, and rounding up into that cat stretch. Tuck the tailbone under, and notice we have more mobility here from a kneeling position than we do seated. So explore your range of motion, finding that spinal mobility. Just 2 more. Inhale. And exhale. Last time, breathe in, sink the belly down. Breathe out, pull the belly up. And come back to a neutral spine. And take your right hand and place it on the back of your head, and you're pointing your elbow out to the side. And start to turn to the right and see if you can point your elbow up, up, up to the ceiling. And then bring it down and point it towards the floor. So I'm turning to my left as my elbow is pointing toward the floor, and I'm turning to my right as the elbow is pointing up. Now this is very much like thread the needle, but we're not using our arm. I'm keeping my hand right behind my head so that the arm is not really a part of this. And you might feel it a lot more in your core this way. Inhale and exhale. One more full repetition. And then inhale, bring it up. This time, let that hand go and reach it up to the ceiling. With this hand, we're going to do an arm circle. So I'm going to start down, come towards the floor, and around. I'm keeping my body in a twist. And if you'd like, your head can follow your arms. So I'm looking at my fingers, watching them as they travel down, around, and up. And this is going to move your head in a circular fashion as well. Once that arm reaches to the top, we're going to change the direction of the circle. So coming forward, down to the floor, back, and around. Following the fingertips with the gaze, we're still in a twist. One more circle this direction, whatever range of motion feels good for you. Holding at the top, then thread the needle. This hand's going to slide underneath the left arm, setting your right shoulder down to the mat. The left hand, you can bring that around your lower back and try to feed your fingertips right into the hip crease, or just place your hand on your hip. And we'll take 3 slow breaths in and out through the nose. Your pelvis should be level, so you could take a little cup of tea and balance it right on your sacrum, and it would not tip to the right or to the left. One more breath. And as you exhale, place the left hand back down to the mat to push yourself up to all fours. So now our right arm is going to be our stabilizer. The left hand comes back just to the back of your head and rotate to the left and try to point that left elbow up to the ceiling. Then rotate to the right, pointing the elbow down to the floor. And you're pulling that elbow up using the obliques and the muscles of the back, anchoring with a nice strong shoulder joint on that right side. Now our pelvis is really not moving much at all here, so you should feel the same amount of weight between both knees. Hips are level, it's just the spine rotating, imagining that string of pearls. One more repetition, reaching the elbow up. Elbow comes down. Then taking it back to the top, reaching that elbow as high as you can, let the arm stretch up. To start to circle this arm, we're going to come behind us first, lower down, and come around. And these are nice and slow, so not rapid fire circles. And we can start to follow the fingertips with the eye gaze. So we're moving our head through rotation, and our body's still twisted. So we have that left shoulder stacked above the right as much as we can. One more circle this direction. And then we'll reverse that circle, coming forward, down, back, and around. Find some activation in your core, pulling your belly in towards the lower back. And one more circle around this direction. bringing that arm way back up to the top, stretch, and then thread the needle. This hand goes right through, laying your left shoulder down to the floor. Right arm comes to your tailbone or behind your back, reaching for the hip crease. And just find your breath. Let it ride the waves of the inhalations, the exhalations, without retaining the breath. Then preparing to press up, we'll take this right hand right underneath the shoulder, give it a push, coming back to all fours. If you have a little fold in your mat, you can remove that. And we'll prepare to come into downward facing dog. So we'll tuck the toes right underneath and just pick the knees up off the floor a little bit. Keep your knees bent quite a bit and start to lift the bum up in the air. And then push back with your arms so that if you look to the right or left, you're looking underneath your arms. Then if that feels okay for you, start to slowly straighten your legs and drop your heels, finding that stretch for you in your downward facing dog. Now, this is a great place to look at your feet. So are they parallel and about hips distance apart? Sometimes we default to turning them out or in, so keep them in a nice straight line. And then bend one knee and push the opposite heel way down into the mat. And then bend the other. And I'd like for two things to happen here as we alternate sides. The leg that's pushing the heel down to the floor, we're stretching the calf. But on the other foot, the one that's the knee is bending, I want you to stretch the bones of your toes. So you're really curled your toes under and you're stretching through those toe bones. We'll do a couple more on each side. If your wrists are getting tender, you can drop down to your elbows for this and do it from your dolphin pose. One more each side. And then both heels down, nice and even. Keep pushing back away from the hands and opening up through the armpits. And then bend your knees deeply, looking towards the top of your mat. You can either jump or take a couple of steps to reach the feet up towards the hands. Coming into forward bend. Take the opposite elbows in the hands and hang in ragdoll pose. Now your knees can be bent quite a bit if you're feeling really tight in your hamstrings so that you can fold over and let your lower back get some release. Or if you're feeling pretty flexible today, you can extend those legs a little straighter as long as our knees are not locking. We'll take two more breaths. Let go of any tension in your neck. You can shake it up and down, side to side, rotate it. One more breath. Then releasing the cross of the elbows. Start to bend your knees really deeply. Bringing the palms to heart center, come into chair. Now in chair pose, you can have your feet tight together or separated hips distance apart. Either way is fine. Just feel your weight sinking back into your heels and track your knees over your feet, your hips in alignment as well. So keeping the palms pressed at heart center, press through the feet. Inhale, reach the fingertips up to a small back bend. Exhale to pull the palms back to the heart and to sit into chair. We're keeping our palms pressed the entire time, and I want you to find a little bit of force between the hands. You're pressing in and connecting with your pec muscles in your shoulders. And we follow the breath by inhaling as we rise up into that spinal lengthening and exhaling to sink down into the legs, into chair. I'll do one more. Then flowing into a twisting chair, we'll reach up again, palms are still connected. Then as you sit into chair, you're turning to the right side, so your left elbow comes towards your right knee. Press back up and twist the other direction. Think about our string of pearls as we stretch up, really long spine, and rotate. Something else to consider is that we're just turning our spine, we're not turning our hips. So a good indication of that is noticing the alignment of your knees. So when you twist in chair, if one knee pushes out ahead of the other, that means that your spine is not taking the full twist, your pelvis is rotating. So as you twist, try to keep your knees directly in alignment with each other. And we'll take one more to each side, the right side and the left. And you are moving at whatever pace suits you today. We'll finish with one more breath up and sinking right down into a neutral chair through the middle. Then we'll step our right foot back into warrior one. So I'm going to slide that right foot back, plant my heel, and there's a little bit of a turnout of the foot, not a lot. And then reach the arms up and square the hips right towards the top edge of your mat. So this is a nice closed hip pose. Then interlace the hands behind the back, or if you have a yoga strap and you want to hold it behind you to make this a little bit more comfortable, feel free to reach for your strap. And we'll extend through the heart in our warrior one for a nice chest expansion. Then moving this pose into humble warrior, we start to fold the upper body towards the knee and bow the head down towards the floor. Our goal, if we can, is to keep lifting our arms up, away from the back side of the body. And this is a great time to see your right foot behind you. Make sure you're not rolling into your arch. Keep your arch lifted and press into all four corners of the feet. On your next inhalation, press through that front foot, rise up, up. And release the arms, extend them high to the ceiling. Bring palms back to heart center and step that right foot back forward into chair pose. And just check in, notice how your body's feeling, right to left side, stepping the left foot back into warrior one. This isn't a long step back, it's a fairly short stance, a little bit of turnout from the back foot. And then inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, bringing the hands behind you. Now we always seem to cross the same thumb on top. So if you can switch the cross of the thumbs and switch the fingers, that's going to put you into a little bit different hand hold. And we'll lift the arms away from the back body up, extending through the heart. Now very slowly begin to bow this into humble warrior. So we take our time to come forward. The right shoulder comes towards the right knee. The head bows down. The arms lift. Front knee is bent, back leg is straight, and the back arch is lifted away from the mat. We breathe and relax the head. On your next inhalation, push down through that front foot, rising up, up, up. Release the clasp of the hands, lift the arms. And press the palms at heart center. Step the back foot forward into chair pose and check in. Now we'll inhale and reverse swan dive all the way up. And then swan dive back down into forward bend. Walk the feet back to plank pose. And hold a nice solid plank. Now we can be from our knees here or from the toes. Let your shoulder blades glide down and back. And we'll take our time to slowly come down to the belly. The palms stay right underneath the shoulders. Tops of the feet go really long onto the mat and tighten your leg muscles. Press the feet down, 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 and lift the shoulder blades up, baby cobra. You might even be able to get your kneecaps to come off the mat if you tighten your legs strongly enough. Now check your head position, make sure you're not looking up, pinching the back of your neck, so your eye gaze is actually down to your mat. Let's take one more breath here. Then using your hands, push yourself up to your knees and back to an extended child's pose. Forehead comes down to the mat. So we'll move forward again into that plank or kneeling plank. Then Chaturanga Dandasana, bending the elbows as we come down. Extend into Cobra, or maybe instead upward facing dog, lifting all the way up onto strong thighs from the tops of the feet. And then press back either to your child's pose or to your down dog. We call this the half series vinyasa. So again, we glide to plank either from the knees or the toes. We bend the elbows close to the body and lower down, taking our baby cobra or upward facing dog and pressing back either to child's pose or to down dog. We'll do this twice more, and you choose the variation that works best for you. So I'll take the kneeling version and the baby cobra version and the child's pose version. And one more round. I'll take the high plank version and the upward facing dog version and the down dog. Then we'll all drop our knees to the floor. Rest in child's pose. Give your wrists a break. You can even circle them around or give them a little stretch. Let your heart rate come down a little bit of a breather. And then we'll come into our down dog together. So tuck the toes, lift the hips, sending them up. Pressing those heels nicely to the floor. Then we'll lift our right leg high, send it up. And we'll swing and step that right foot through your hands towards the top of your mat. And then walk this right foot out a little bit wider so you can get both hands in the middle. So this stretch, we can stay off the back leg or we can come down to the knee, whichever you like. We can also lower our elbows down into the mat or into a block to deepen this stretch. So I want you to let your hips drop down. So sometimes in this pose, I see this going on with the hips really far up. So let this front knee bend, let your hips drop so you can feel a stretch in your glute and in your hip flexor. And we'll just hold. The knee can come down. Now either remaining as you are, or we can add a twist to this pose. So I'm going to bring my right hand up off the mat and turn open, reaching it to the ceiling. That hand can also wrap behind the back and roll the shoulder blades open. One more breath. And then exhale, reach that hand back to the floor. Push back to your down dog. And then repeating the other side, we'll lift that left leg nice and high, stretch it up. Take a big step through towards the top of your mat. Now sometimes what happens is we get about this far, and that's all we can make it. So you can use your left hand to help you pick your foot up and transfer it to the top of your mat. So however you need to get there, and then walk your left foot out a little more so you can bring both hands to the middle and hold your stretch and decide where you want to take it. Would you like to drop the knee or drop the elbows? But definitely drop your hips, so no bums up in the air on this stretch. Let it go down. I'm looking for this alignment in my front knee to make sure it's over the ankle. So I don't want to have this leg underneath me too much. It's a little bit too much pressure on that knee joint. And then we can stay here or twist by lifting the left hand up and rotate. That hand can wrap behind the back as well. If you're up off the back knee, I want you to really straighten that leg. Tighten your thigh muscle, lift the back of your kneecap up to the ceiling. One more breath. And then exhale, reach back to the floor. This time we'll push back to hands and knees and to child's pose. So we're coming onto our back, and if you have a yoga strap or maybe a kitchen towel or a necktie, something that you can grab hold of, do some stretching for the hamstring. So get nice and comfy on your back. If you don't have a strap or something accessible, you can just hold behind your leg, and let's put that strap under the bottom of the right foot and extend it up. If you're flexible enough, you can make peace fingers with your right hand and loop it around your big toe, and then close your thumb right over the top. This is called the yogi toe lock. And we just extend that leg up to whatever range of motion is good for our hamstrings today. And we allow our breath to begin to slow, our mind to be clear, the body relaxed. So I'm going to give you two choices here as we're stretching this. If this is the stretch you really need today and you want to stay here for about another minute, minute and a half, stay here. If you feel like your hips are needing to be open, I want you to bend the bottom knee and place that right ankle on top of the left thigh. Kind of move the knee away from you and pull your knees up to your chest in figure 4. All of our bodies are different things we're needing. So take the one that works best for you, or a little bit of each. And just check in to make sure you're not tensing any muscles here as you're holding your stretch, and that you are breathing. There's a tendency while we're holding a stretch to hold our breath as well. So let that flow in and out. Just like waves coming into shore and receding back out. I'll take 3 more slow breaths. Maybe deepen the stretch just a bit. And exhaling completely. Come down. We'll prepare for the hamstring on the left leg so we can use the strap underneath the bottom of the foot. Lower leg is extended out straight, or we can find that yogi toe lock, making a peace fingers with your hands, closing your thumb over the top, and hold that stretch. And then you might say, wow, this side is totally different. Just be aware without being judgmental of yourself. And know that's an area we need to focus a little bit more on. So you can remain here in this stretch for as long as you like, or we move into our figure 4 stretch by bending the bottom knee, taking the left ankle, crossing it over, opening the knee out, then reach through to pull the legs up toward you. This is our pigeon pose modification. And bring your awareness to the muscles of your face. Make sure you're not squinting or squeezing your eyebrows together or clenching your teeth as you're holding this stretch. You're finding a comfortable edge to remain for a few more breaths. If you'd like, maybe deepen that stretch just a bit more. We've got 3 more slow breaths in and out through the nose. One more breath in, deep and full. Exhale. And release that stretch. And bring your feet together, opening the knees out into our reclining bound angle pose. Butterfly Baddha Konasana. Arms are either by your side or maybe in goalpost arms. And just relaxing the knees to open away from one another. Relax your hips. Relax the belly. And we'll come into a 3-part breath. So as we inhale, the first 1/3 of the inhalation comes into the low belly. The second 1/3 fills the ribs. And the last piece of the breath fills the upper lungs into the heart. And we exhale from the heart first, the rib cage second, the belly last. Three more rounds of the 3-part breath. Belly, ribs, heart, heart, ribs, belly. 2 more. Finish 1 more round of the 3-part breath, and then allow your breathing to return to a normal, gentle flow. Then we'll reverse the position of the legs, so closing the knees into touch. Start to walk your feet further and further away from each other so that you let your knees just fall together and you're not using any strength in your legs to hold them up. They're holding each other up like we do for one another. If you'd like, you can change the position of the arms, either bringing them by your sides or folding them over your abdomen. Pausing to reflect on today's practice and anything you learned. Cementing it in to your mind and body. If you're at home and you need some extra relaxation time, feel free to stay here and not worry about coming out of your pose or disconnecting right away from class. You can remain as you are. If you're following the sound of my voice, we'll roll over onto one side and remain there for a few breaths. Create a little pillow for the side of your head. And then we'll press ourselves up to a seated position. And again, if you have your yoga strap, I want you to have it close by. And we'll come into Janu Shirsasana pose. So we'll close the right inner thigh in, or the right foot to the left inner thigh. And we'll use our strap to place under the bottom of the left foot. And just give that strap a pull and a flexion towards you and sit up with a nice long spine. And we'll inhale to prepare. Exhale and fold over that leg, dropping the belly close to the thigh. Relax your lower back. Relax your hamstring. Relax your hips. One more breath. And as you exhale, come back up. We'll have the chance to do this stretch once more with the option of taking this folded leg over the opposite thigh. This is our half cow face position. If that's not feeling good for your hips or your knees, come back to half butterfly. We'll take that strap underneath the bottom of the foot. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale and fold. Totally different stretch now. A nice hip opener as well as that hamstring stretch. and then coming up, release. Keep the strap in your right hand and let it descend down your spine. With the left hand, pull the elbow back so you get a nice stretch here. And then turn your thumb down on the left hand and reach behind you and see if you can find the strap. If you don't have one, just walk your fingertips as close as you can together. Now we can stay upright here for this stretch or fold over back into our forward bend. So a lot of individual stretches happening here all at once. We have the right tricep, the front of the left shoulder, the left hamstring and calf, the right hip. Just taking it to whatever range of motion feels good for you. One more breath. Exhale as you rise. And releasing the strap. Uncross that right leg extended out straight. And we'll open out into our half butterfly or seated tree. And then place that strap underneath the ball of the foot. And just sit up tall and pull it back. So I want to get a nice 90-degree angle, inflection on that right ankle. Let this knee just fall open. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, and fold forward. And notice how you feel different on this side. Try not to fight the stretch. If you're feeling any shaking or quivering in the muscle, back off for a moment, let that relax and subside, and then come back in to that stretch. And then we'll come up to switch position to our half cow face. If you'd like, this leg folds over. So my goal is to get the knees to stack one on top of each other. The top of my left foot is down into the floor. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, pull yourself forward. This really deepens that hamstring release on the right side. So take your time. You might not go as far as you did the first time around. One more breath here. And then exhale to come up. Cow face arms. The strap is in the left hand. We let it dangle behind the back and then just reach for that elbow and pull it up so you can anchor it into a good stretch. The right hand thumb turns down. You reach behind and walk the fingertips as close as you can together on your strap. Now you can stay here if this is a good stretch, or slowly begin to fold this forward. And when I do, it automatically pulls my bottom arm up a little bit further underneath my shoulder blade. So be aware of that. Make sure that it feels okay for you and you're not straining your shoulders. And one more breath. And slowly rising up. We'll release that strap, unfold the left leg, preparing for Navasana. Navasana is our boat pose, and it's for core stabilization. So we come onto the sitting bones. We start to lean the upper body back. And maybe we can lift one leg off the floor, maybe both. Our hands can come down for some stabilization, or you can lift them. Open up the throat just a little bit. and find power and strength and motivation in this pose. 3 more breaths. Any variation, those feet can come down. 2 more breaths. And on that last exhalation, pull your upper body up and then let both knees open into our seated butterfly Baddha Konasana. So we're going to use a technique. It's a contract, relax technique today to help us to stretch through the inner thighs and the hips. So holding onto your ankles, I want you to push down with your elbows against your inner thighs, but at the same time, push up with your thighs towards your elbows, and we're creating opposing tension. Hold that tension. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Now relax that tension and fold forward. We'll do that twice more. Find the tension, push up with the legs and down with your elbows. You're contracting the inner thighs. Then relax them and fold further. One more time, push up with the legs, down with the elbows, contract. Feel those muscles tensing up, engaging. And then relax and fold forward. So you might have been able to find a little bit more range with this technique. We'll hold here 3 more breaths. Rising up, we'll open the legs wide into wide leg stretch, whatever distance apart from one another, and flex your toes up. Hands are in the middle. Some of you might feel like this is enough stretch. You can stay right here. We can start to walk the fingertips forward to any place that you can go. Relax the muscles of your thighs. Soften through your hips and your lower back. We'll walk those hands back in. Then bringing your right arm down towards the floor. You can either go with your hand or your elbow, or you can take your peace fingers and tuck them under that little place behind your ankle and drop your elbow down. This turns our body to the ceiling. We reach up and try to keep your left sitting bone down onto the mat. And this arm can continue to travel over, 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 and maybe those fingertips can reach your big toe. Someday I'll get there. Or just in my mind, I'm there. And then bring that arm back up, releasing that side. Beautiful hamstring stretch and side bend. On the other side, your hand can come down, your elbow can come down, or take the peace fingers and just snuggle them right underneath your ankle. Reach the arm up, open. Such a wonderful stretch for the rib cage. And then maybe this hand can keep going, going, going to travel over to look for the big toe. Right sitting bone is still pressed down into the floor. Feet are still flexed, toes are being pulled up, active thighs. One more breath. And then exhale, Release it up. Now, if you remember where you came through to the center the first time, let's see if maybe we can go further after having stretched to both sides. Walk your hands out. Maybe find a deeper range of motion. One more breath here. Exhale, walking the hands back in. And then come to a simple cross-legged pose for a seated meditation to close our class today. We're going to come into a left nostril breathing. So the left nostril brings us into the parasympathetic side of our nervous system. And I'm going to reverse for you. So this is actually my left side, but that's for you, your right. So what I want you to do is close off your right nostril by placing your thumb right into the nostril, and then your first two fingers, index and middle, right to your forehead. Your other fingers are curled in. Close your eyes, and you're breathing in and out through the left nostril only. Now, if you're stuffy and you can't get a breath through the left nostril, you can try blowing your nose and see if that helps. And if that doesn't work, just do a regular breath in and out through both nostrils. But this is a wonderful technique to relieve stress and anxiety, to lower our blood pressure and our heart rate. So we'll continue this left nostril breathing for about 8 more rounds of the breath. We're sitting tall, taking a full inhalation, a complete exhalation. Three more rounds of the breath. And one more. Let your hand release from the nostril and fall to your lap, and feel the peace and the calm. We'll take a breath together, sweeping the arms out and up. Inhale. Press the palms, draw thumbs into the heart as we express our gratitude for this opportunity to practice together as a community in this way from our homes. And the light and love and peace that resides within me honors the light and love and peace in each of you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll turn off our Jitsi recording, and I'd love to say hi if there's anyone who would like to chat for a minute.